Welcome back, Red Spotters! Another show here on Red Spotlight, the podcast that brings you all of the latest stories coming out of the world of movies. And I'm joined this week, Alexis, joined by Kyle Lira, who is looking quite dashing in his sister's Sophia's headphones, which have special LED lights.
Yeah. Am I streaming now? Welcome up. It's Kyle B. Twitchin' up here on Twitch. Yeah. So, my dad is taking a flight here right now. He is airborne as we speak, and he is heading back to his to the motherland, aka the Philippines. So, so I'm holding down the fort at his house. And I've made
having parties every night.
Every fucking night, man. Every fucking night. But it's yeah. So I made a makeshift studio, and like it's nowhere near like the setup that I have at home. I mean, I just like because I have like the boom arm and and my Samsung and all that, and my headphones attached to the whole thing, and like it's a proper setup and all that stuff. So I forgot my headphones at home, and I was just like, well, there's one here. And the mic that I'm recording off of is my old Snowball that I used to record off of, because it's portable and it's convenient. And I don't have a boom arm, but it is standing on an Apple iPhone box. Talk about like rudimentary working with what you have kind of setup. So that's what I'm dealing with right now, and then also using my father's computer to record off of everything. So we'll see where this goes.
Anyway, today on the show, what is it that we have? Well, a couple of things, as a matter of fact. I haven't had the chance to see Thor: Love and Thunder, but we will review it very, very soon. Kyle, if you'd like, you can give your quick thoughts, non-spoilery, of course, of Thor: Love and Thunder.
Well, I really liked it. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
How dare you? You are a disgusting... No, I'm kidding. I mean, basically, the internet will scream that at you, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. But I was thoroughly enjoyed. I don't know what everybody's big, what all the hullabaloo is all about.
I don't think that's the appropriate word. I'm seeing a lot of anger.
I think it's misguided anger, to be honest. I think that a lot of people are feeling the Marvel fatigue. And they don't know how to express it because they're so used to like coming out of these Marvel pictures, as Scorsese would say. He would like everybody would be used to coming out of these pictures like pretty much sucking its dick, and that's how the reception would be. However, like everybody's just coming out of this. I mean, Miss Marvel just happened, and then not too long ago, Doctor Strange happened. So, I mean, it's a little too close for comfort for a lot of for like in terms of releases.
I mean, that's of course not even mentioning Moon Knight and Miss Marvel airing on Disney Plus around the same time as those releases.
And then and not to mention, I think we have one more release this year. I'm not sure.
What, as far as the movie is concerned? We got, I think, at least one more, I feel.
So anyway, I think we have the Guardians Christmas special. Which is going to be interesting. But yeah, also another thing that I have to say about like the public response to this as well. This movie didn't tie in with anything, which was refreshing. And all the people who wanted to have talking points and we're like, oh, this is going to be our talking point. And if this comes out in this movie and all that stuff, and they were ready to talk about all the Easter eggs that are in the movie, and guess what? Taika gave them nothing. So what are they doing? Instead, they're
tearing the movie apart.
They're tearing the movie apart because why? Because it didn't give them anything to talk about, or at least clickbaity things to talk about. So I think that those two are huge contributing factors on why this movie is getting a lot of bad reviews. I mean, if you didn't like the movie other than those reasons, I mean, good on you. You know, I'm not going to shove my opinion down your throat, amongst other things. But I personally liked it. It was funny. Like, it was mercilessly Taika Waititi. You know, it is definitely it feels like Taika had his hands more into this movie than Thor Ragnarok, which a lot of people are praising and all that stuff. But let's be honest, like, that was just Kevin Feige letting him test the waters before he lets him swim. And here with Thor and Love and Thunder, you actually get to see Taika swim, you know, and you get it, you know, warts and all, you know. Do I feel? I'm not sure how I feel yet. I have to give it like a second viewing to see how I feel compared to Thor Ragnarok. But for right now, I really enjoyed Thor, and like it gave me some good hopes to see where they take Chris Hemsworth in the future, you know, and it really put some characters. Also, might I add, and I whispered to this to Peter next to me, I was like, wow, it only took him 4 movies for Natalie Portman and Chris Hemsworth to have some actual fucking chemistry. So there are like other things that, you know, are involved in the movie that I won't spoil here, but what I could say is that it's an entertaining movie. Don't listen to particularly internet critics, because their talking points are gone because it connects to nothing. And number 2, they have the Marvel fatigue, but they don't want to say it because they don't want to look bad to the Marvel powerhouse, you know. And so I feel like a lot of the hatred is misguided, so to speak. So yeah, Thor Love and Thunder, I love it.
All right, let's go ahead and get into our first topic today, and this is Elvis, the film by Baz Luhrmann that has been in theaters. Has it already been 2 weeks, Kyle?
Apparently so.
Apparently. So, and it's also been 2 weeks since we've seen it?
I think so, yeah.
Wow, time flies, doesn't it?
2 weeks it's chicken shit.
Okay.
Come to me when we're talking about like 2 years or something like that.
Let's go ahead and get to the letterbox description. Elvis, the man, the legend, the king of rock and roll. The life story of Elvis Presley as seen through the complicated relationship of his enigmatic manager, Colonel Tom Parker. Starring Austin Butler and of course Tom Hanks. And yeah, that's the movie. So my experience, or background, shall we say, with these kind of biopic films has been, you know, kind of up and down. You know, for me, I really adore, I really like Rocket Man. Forget the James Mangold, his movie Walk the Line, as kind of the gold standard for this kind of movie, and very mixed feelings, I'd say, on Bohemian Rhapsody, because I understand the party appeal to it, and it's kind of like, you know, what people want, and it is a crowd pleaser, but at the same time, though, it is very basic and generic.
By the numbers.
Yeah. Very much so. So, not too much excitement for it.
Yeah.
On that level, but then also my only previous experience with Baz Luhrmann was Romeo plus Juliet, which I saw one time like 10 years ago, and it was crazy. Like, legitimately, it was so crazy. So, yeah, but the trailer looked amazing. So, that's kind of where all I have to say about that. But you, my friend, on the other hand, have a very storied history with Baz Luhrmann.
I fucking love his work. I consider him one of the best directors in the business right now, just because of like how he is able to tell like storytelling and style and blend that in really well. Particularly like Romeo plus Juliet in my top 50 favorite films of all time. It's such a good movie. I love the unique blend of the modern and the traditional, with keeping Shakespeare's original text in the movie and just keeping that and translating that with the modern day. Like when Benvolio relinquishes his foil, and his foil, instead of the sword, it's a gun, and so the thing is that like sidestep on where Baz Luhrmann is in terms of like his attention to detail is that he is a superb translator. And when he's a superb, like, you have to know that shit in order to translate it to modern day. And the fact that he was able to do that, I feel like he might understand it closest to how William Shakespeare knew his own works, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, The Great Gatsby was fantastic. While Moulin Rouge might not be my cup of tea, I 100% respect the movie.
Doesn't Alexis love that movie?
Oh, she loves the movie. Obi-Wan is fawning over a character named Satine. So
yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. But yeah, I mean, I love Baz Luhrmann's works. Australia, visually beautiful movies, striking and all that stuff. I haven't seen his first work, Strictly Ballroom. I haven't seen that one yet, but I want to. Elvis is no exception. It just like it just feels right. Because Elvis is like this larger than life, kind of character, and, his story is so bombastic that you kind of have to have a bombastic director tell his story. And it really reflects upon when you're watching the movie. Question I have for you is, what is your history with the king himself?
Lilo and Stitch.
That's it.
I know the hits. I know them because of fucking Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, right? They had Burnin' Love on there. I think
they had 18's cover of fucking Wise Men Say
Only Fools Rush. I mean, of course, who doesn't know that song? I think like Can't Help Falling in Love is not just one of the best written songs ever, but I mean one of my personal favorites of all time.
Yeah,
I love Elvis's version of it. I also love other versions of the song as well. It
translates so well into other mediums.
Mm-hmm.
Hound Dog.
I mean,
but who doesn't know that song? But still, it should be in the discussion.
Absolutely, and Jailhouse Rock.
Yeah,
they even had Jailhouse Rock, I think, in the credits of Leroy and Stitch.
Yeah, they did. They went back to their Elvis roots, which I very much appreciated.
Well, in that movie, in Leroy and Stitch, they also have an Elvis cover of a Hank Williams song, "I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry."
Yeah,
it's a very, very good song there too. So no, I mean, Elvis has a very, I don't know if angelic is the right way, maybe not, but there's a very warmth presence to his voice that he kind of just like, his voice maybe doesn't
one could almost say orgasmic.
Oh, no, well, for some, I'm sure, yeah, but for me, he doesn't necessarily register as a voice that immediately catches your attention, but when you start listening to him, and of course you have the lyrics and everything, like, it's just great. I mean, one of the things I will say about the music on display and what I did already know of Elvis, and of course what we see in the movie, of course, it makes sense that he is the best-selling solo recording male artist of all time. What else? I mean, obviously everybody knows Elvis more or less so as like a persona, like all the cliches and the costumes, the hair, the voice in which he would speak in.
Particularly like Fat Elvis is well known. Just like what you see on the Las Vegas Strip or Hollywood Boulevard for that matter. Just like all the impersonators and all that stuff, and like his presence is like, it's still going strong today. I mean, he's one of the most parodied celebrities of all time too. I mean,
absolutely, yeah. So I mean, he was a superstar. So it's very difficult to grow up and like not know who that was.
Yeah.
Did I ever like gravitate toward his music and would say that he was one of my favorite artists? No. Do I like his music? I actually do. But that's, of course, a bit of a difference there. So that's really it. Like, I know I don't bring with me, like I would expect many people who would see this film do, years and years of like baggage, like emotional baggage, shall we say, with Elvis, like your parents who are huge music fans across the board do.
Which goes on to my background with Elvis. Oh my lord, there were 4 guarantees to listen to in terms of music, rotation wise, that was constantly playing in my house when I was growing up. The Rolling Stones, Elton John, Metallica, and Elvis Presley. Those are the 4 staples that were in my house, particularly in my mom's side, So I knew the king. Okay, I knew the king, and I loved Suspicious Minds, Unchained Melody. I always Can't Help Falling in Love, If I Can Dream, like so many of these iconic freaking songs. Oh, You're the Devil in Disguise, like so many freaking iconic songs, even to the point where like it rung such a nostalgic chord with me. Like one of the first records I bought is an Elvis hits record, and like Elvis, in terms of like Elvis himself and my family, like I have several members of my family who have visited Graceland more than once, more than twice, and just super Elvis, diehards. People have seen my dad. One of the first things that he did when he stepped foot in America was watch a Elvis impersonator concert in Vegas, and he said that it was a fucking riot. And there's so many other elements of what Elvis has like meant to my family. I mean, I believe that my grandmother owned at least half of his discography. So I mean, it's just it's one of those things. Elvis is a big deal in my family, so it made sense to watch it with them, and all that stuff. I've never seen my mom sing in a movie theater, kind of like I do. But I saw my mom sing, her and I were like, we can go on together with suspicious minds in the movie theater together. And it's just it was a fucking party. It was a fucking party. And that's how the music of Elvis resonates with me. And, and I feel like that really, really impacted, in terms of nostalgia wise, how this movie played out.
No, I mean, the music definitely speaks for itself, but I was actually over the weekend with family. One of my cousins, who's a big movie fan as well, loved this movie. We're talking about this. And, the songs that, were stuck in our heads, as a matter of fact, were Suspicious Minds. I think it's randomly, I feel like throughout the day, one of us would just start with
we're caught in a trap. I can't go out.
I'm caught in a trap. You basically, the beginning bars of this song.
Because I love you too much, baby.
It's a great song.
It is.
But no, yeah, I've added Suspicious Minds and Unchained Melodies, particularly that version from the movie.
My love.
Okay. I mean, we're not here for karaoke. But no, look.
I'm a Filipino. I'm naturally inclined to go into karaoke parties. God.
Well, technically speaking, that is true. Yeah. So, interesting movie, right? Because, and I feel maybe we could have seen it coming a mile away, where, yeah, this is very much capitalizing on the success of Bohemian Rhapsody. General audiences loved that movie.
Yeah.
And so, when you put in a director like Baz Luhrmann, there is automatically something that he is going to add to that movie in terms of flair, pizzazz, style, storytelling, completely up and down, the entire approach to anything Baz Luhrmann does to a film that is going to be seen by the masses. We might have been able to see it coming a mile away. I'm not sure if we ever did confirm it one way or the other, that it was going to create some kind of a divide. That being said, and we'll get to that divide in a minute.
Right. I
have to think that the film is doing very well from a box office standpoint. And from a critic standpoint, the same could be, said, So I don't know. I feel like the film, for the most part, hasn't come across as divisive. I feel like most people who've seen the film may not necessarily gel with the style, but ultimately do love the subject matter. So that's my impression of it.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
I feel that way too. Particularly because, especially with some reactions I got from my stepdad and all that stuff. There's a particular resistance in terms of anything that has any semblance to do with style and not telling a straight up story. Which it's so boring. We've heard this kind of stories a million times. So I was all for it because I love Boz's style, Mm-hmm. I love the way he bakes that pie, so to speak.
That being said, though, from what you tell me, his style had been toned down dramatically compared to his other works.
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't Baz Luhrmann enough, to be honest, because, I feel like this is his... I think that this is Baz at his most reserved, to be honest. Again, I haven't seen his first movie, but again, it's his first movie. I mean, he's trying to find his style. And where this movie is that, you know, it does lean into like traditional, like biopic cinematography tricks and what have you. But then all of a sudden, bam, like, you know, you're doing Viva Las Vegas, you know, and doing all that shit. And you feel like, oh, it's coming to life. This is what Baz Luhrmann was assigned to do. This is where he was, you know, hired to do this job because, and then like you get that. And when you get that moment, when you get those moments, you feel like this movie comes alive, way better than, like, let's just say, like, a Respect would, or, you know, a Bohemian Rhapsody, you know, those that play it straight. And I honestly, because, like, they're, like, the market is so filled with stories that play it straight, it's a warm welcome when we get something like this.
No, I agree with you 100%. I don't think I would care about this movie in the least if it wasn't for Baz Luhrmann directing this movie. I'll just say it. I think, like, he really held my attention throughout the entire thing and made it look just visually beautiful and interesting.
Yeah.
I love everything about the presentation to this movie. And in terms of, like, the many performances of Elvis throughout the film, that alone is worth the price of admission. You actually feel as if you're transported through time and sitting in a VIP section to see Elvis in concert. It is amazing what they're able to do, recreating those performances. Through, of course, a powerhouse performance of Austin Butler, who wows in spades.
That motherfucker, he, like, I have a feeling like this is what his, like, because this is his first, like, let's be honest, like, this is his breakout role. I mean, he's had small roles here and there sprinkled throughout everything. And this is the first time where they actually let him, like, do something. And, you know, they let him do his thing. And honestly, this movie is better for it because the way that he performs it, if he didn't work, this movie wouldn't have worked. And boy, that motherfucker made it work. Because, and not only that, but he's singing, you know, that's his voice. And not only that, but Priscilla Presley was so moved by what he was doing that she let him play Elvis's actual guitar in the movie. I mean, it's just one of those details that I feel amplify this movie to an authentic degree. And I think like little touches like that make this movie worthwhile. Just how genuine I feel like this movie is as well. Because like the thing is that Bohemian Rhapsody, while people do like the movie and all that stuff, I feel like this movie is disingenuous. That movie was disingenuous with the story that it's trying to tell with Freddie and all that stuff. Here, I feel like there's a lot of passion about like what is going to be. That's why, like, I would love to see Frank Sinatra cover. Not Frank Sinatra. A Martin Scorsese cover Frank Sinatra. You know, because like he's passionate about that, and there's a lot of passion behind that subject matter. And I feel like this movie had a lot of passion and a lot of heart with what subject matter it was trying to tell. And the name Elvis at large.
Also, understand, of course, it's a biopic, not a documentary. So some people out there in the general audience, you know, conflate those two genres of storytelling as the same thing.
Yeah.
Biopic is not a documentary. Do not expect to see all the ins and outs of Elvis's life. And of course, because it is a major motion picture Hollywood movie, they will very easily glide over many of the not so attractive qualities of Elvis.
Yeah.
Not that I can't even mention to you because I don't know that much about the man, but there were some stories that Peter was telling me that I wasn't even aware of that, of course, are not going to be covered in this movie.
And especially, I mean, if you want to go into like... I
don't really want to go into the stories themselves, but just to put that out there for anybody who expects that out of a biopic, don't bother. Yeah. If you want a story that lays all of it out there, go watch a documentary.
And it's particularly interesting when, this movie, I feel this is just how I read the movie. I feel like this movie is structured like a comic book. Because you, especially like the comic books of like when Sam Raimi did his first Spider-Man. And I feel like it's structured like that movie because you have both the villain and the hero origin story, with the villain being played by Tom Hanks and the hero being played by Austin Butler. And like, I love that little detail. I mean, one of the first frames of the movie is opening up a comic book and like telling you a story through a comic book. And it very much feels like that. It very much feels like they painted Elvis as a hero. And in many regards, he was, despite, some allegations and all that stuff. By and large, he was a hero for American music, because pop and rock and music in general wouldn't be the same without Elvis's voice, without Elvis being involved. Because, some other person would have come in and did the same thing that he was doing, but it wouldn't. But Elvis's presence is so large that it needed somebody like that, a big persona. And until like, spoiler, skip like, I don't know, 15 seconds ahead. Even to the last frame of the movie with Colonel Tom Parker dying and Elvis taking his final bow. It's like the ultimate like victory against the bad guy. You have the villain who's going to be completely forgotten in history, and Elvis, whose legacy will live on triumphantly, as you see in this movie. And that's where you have like the villain and the hero against each other, and the ultimate victor of said fight. So I love the way that it was structured. I love the way that it was framed. There's so many subtle filmmaking moments that I absolutely love, and the makeup department, holy shit! The halfway in the halfway point, they made Austin Butler look like he was older than he actually is, and I was absolutely thrown.
I mean,
back
he's
at
only
that.
30. I mean,
yeah, and to make him look a little older than that, it looks like he's been through the ringer or two. I think is absolutely good, believably so. Is good makeup work. So yeah, also the sound design of the movie is pretty incredible as well. Just like sound mixing of all the like the classic tunes to make it more amped up.
Yeah, I think like if Warner Brothers plays their cards right, and I think they will do, this could get a lot of nominations for Best Actor, Best Costume Design, Best Hair and Makeup, Sound Design as well. So, no, I mean, this is definitely going to be one of those films that I would say comes back at the end of the year.
Yeah.
For multiple nominations, for sure. No, I really, really enjoyed the movie, I got to be honest. I even enjoyed Tom Hanks's wacky performance as Colonel Parker. I mean, I gotta say, as bad as the guy was, I enjoyed his presence on the screen.
Why? Because you know why, Alexis?
Why?
Because we're the same. We're both reaching for eternity.
That accent needs to be analyzed, and because I do not know where it comes from.
No,
at times it sounds.
That's kind of the point.
No, I know, but it's a mixture of different things. Because like Colonel Parker is the man with no home, basically. Like nobody knew where he came from. He had no records.
Ambiguous,
Yeah,
ambiguous, and like right, and so like that's how Tom Hanks decided to play it. And Tom Hanks was like saying, he was talking to Austin Butler in an interview, and he was like, "Wow, you had all these like great archival, footage from like home videos and whatnot. I had little to nothing to work with." And I think that rightfully, I mean, it's fitting. It fits the bill quite well, I feel, so like the ambiguousness of Colonel Tom Parker, I think it just added to to the myth behind the villain of the story, you know, and made it more interesting.
Also, of course, the man, I mean, his story doesn't end well in real life, so, I mean, it's not much of a spoiler in that case. But, I mean, the movie does end on a downer, and that ultimately will affect some people's view of it.
Yeah, because at the end, like, for example, you have freaking Bohemian Rhapsody, and, you know, they're doing, like, all we hear is Radio Gaga, and doing that in the fucking Wembley Stadium. And while that's nice and all that stuff, you know, like, you don't feel the weight of tragedy, you know, and I feel like that's a very important part of Freddie Mercury's life, you know, versus here, you feel the weight of fucking his tragedy to the point where at the end of the movie, you just want to see him be put out of his fucking misery.
Which he is, in a pretty macabre way.
In a literal shitty way.
Yeah, basically. No, but honestly, great movie.
Yeah.
So, let's go ahead and move on to the behemoth known as Stranger Things, Netflix's cash cow. Basically the biggest television show on the planet. Maybe the biggest streaming series of all time at the moment. I mean, so far, I should say. We have, in the past few weeks, discussed the first half of Stranger Things on Red Spotlight. I don't know if... No, were you at all included in those? No, it was just David and me. Okay. So... Yeah, we've been meaning to discuss this, but let's just go ahead and get into this right now. So I'll start off with, I fucking adore this show. I honestly do feel that it has more than earned its right to maintain our attention. I honestly love all the seasons. I know that there are some people who have, you know, like some more than others, and of course I have my preferences as well. Mm-hmm. But I think what holds it all together are these wonderful characters, and of course the Duffer Brothers. Their writing and their directing really make this, I think, the greatness that it is, continuously so. And I feel that, amazingly enough, while there are, I'm sure, people who have their gripes with too many characters or too many storylines or, you know, too many minutes in a single episode or this here or that there, I feel that we possibly have seen their strongest season yet with season 4, because, you know, looking at these 9 episodes, which, by the way, feel a lot longer than that. Some of these episodes are goddamn. I mean,
some episodes are like 3 episodes in one.
Literally, at least, yeah, the usual length of that. A very ambitious season. And yet, I feel that the powerhouse of emotion and the just sheer number of moments that we received throughout this season, it's just, honestly, just, I'm in awe of how great it was. I love this show, and I loved this season, and I think we have gotten some of the best material we've gotten yet out of this show in its 4th season. And what I keep going back to is the brilliance of the Duffers, and of course their casting director, to get all of these actors cast all those years ago, because, and I seriously mean this with all of them. I know with Noah, with Millie, with God, I keep forgetting a lot of names today. I'll just go with the character names. With Mike and Will and Max and Dustin and Lucas and Eleven. They were so young when they were first cast, and they were amazing in their initial season. But you see the growth in their acting capabilities from the first season to the 4th season. And all of them have standout moments that will literally, that I think for me, tugged at my heartstrings and just like was, oh my gosh, like that was an amazing sequence.
Yeah.
For both delivering, heartwarming moments and heartbreaking, tragic moments as well. The performances across the board are fantastic. The writing, the direction, brilliant. The gore, the horror elements were really kicked up a couple of notches this season, that's for sure, with a lot of the murders.
To say the
holy
least.
Fuck.
I think this is the most unique in case of freaking body counts in the
absolutely, mercilessly, brutally as well. There were several moments in this season that I thought to myself, that's going a bit much. I mean, not that I was complaining, but it's like, wow, that's going further than they would do it. And then with certain key characters and what happens to them, they took it a lot further than I thought they would.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Honestly, I know that, some storylines from a geographic standpoint perhaps, had less focus than others, but I loved all of them. And I was as attentive with all of them. I love all of these characters. And we cannot overstate how amazing it is, how the structure for the most part is still the same, but they still keep giving us enough where we're so interested and doubling the number of characters.
And like it never falters in being dull. It never falters in like, oh, we treaded this ground before, because they give us so much refreshing, so much refreshments in terms of like plot and all that stuff. And it's absolutely, you're absolutely correct in seeing like where Millie Bobby Brown has grown, where Finn Wolfhard, where Noah Schnapp, Gaten Mazzarato, everybody, Caleb McLaughlin, everybody fucking is growing. I have a feeling like, cause like there are certain tent poles where a lot of people grow up with certain actors as they are involved into a series. Our generation was Harry Potter, where we got to see Daniel Radcliffe, Emma, and Rupert. They all grew as actors and performers and just and as people as well. And we got to see that, growing pains and all, just them growing under the spotlight. And that's how that's how I feel like the next Gen Z's Harry Potter is Stranger Things, and they get to see and grow up with, because that's a unique situation, because we grew up with Dan, Rupert, and Emma and all that stuff, and now these kids, the next generation, they're growing up with Finn, Millie, and so on and so on, and so it's such a unique and interesting thing to look at, and the fact that it's become this pop culture behemoth, even to the point where several songs that have appeared have been in the top 10 of not only billboards but everything around, Spotify, Apple, you name it, for the first time in 20 or 30 years, just because of the sheer impact of the viewership of this show. And
now, on that point, the use of needle drops, not just masterful, maybe the best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like with several number of songs, to bring them back to the mainstream after a long time, with one in particular that I'm thinking of. Great.
Yeah. And it's so like, and also like the thing is that like it never risks like, oh, are we going too far into not making this feel like a nostalgic 80s trip? And you definitely feel like it is still an 80s trip, but with like a modern twist. And I feel like that's credit to like where the Duffer Brothers really works their magic into making things feel nostalgically similar, but also refreshed at the same time, which, God, isn't that so remarkable, especially in like a nostalgic filled market that we're living in today? Like, that's fucking refreshing to see and actually feel genuine nostalgia and not just force-fed things going down your throat. And because of that, I feel like Stranger Things really made itself a tentpole, and that's the reason why people keep coming back for more. That's the reason why people are hyped. That's the reason why, Eggo waffles are flying off the shelves, and and people are ordering Hawaiian pizzas, I mean, it's just one of those things that I feel makes it so uniquely special, and especially in this day and age, not to mention like where we are politically and all that stuff. It feels good to go back. It feels good to go back and genuinely feel like you're with these people that were back then, and Stranger Things really, yeah, there are really sad moments, yeah, but also you gotta realize that it is by and large a show about friendship and hope. And you have that, and the kids proudly display that. Some of them aren't even kids anymore. They're in their 20s now. Can you believe that? Like, I think Sadie Sink, she's like 20. It's just amazing how like far, like, from like 16 it started 2016, and where we are now, it's just amazing. And what was really shocking is seeing, like, because there's moments in the show where they flash back to like different eras in the show, and you're just like, damn, they were just pipsqueaks.
I mean, have you not seen the first season in a minute?
No, I haven't. Actually,
you should go back. It's pretty shocking how small they are.
There was a Finn, because like Finn has gone through, I think, the most notable change of all of them. Of Finn Wolfhard. He said, when I first started, I was nothing but a shrimp. Now I'm just a slightly larger prawn. By the way, Finn Wolfhard, what a fucking metal name. Great fucking name. What's your name? Finn Wolfhard. And he looks like that. But yeah. Stranger Things season 4. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Okay, let's go ahead and crack this thing open and go into our standout characters. I think for me, and of course this will encompass any spoilers, so you have been warned here.
Yeah.
To me, my favorites of this season that I feel kind of carried it were definitely Max, Lucas, Dustin, Eddie, Nancy, Robin, Steve, 11. Oh my God. Got some great stuff in there.
Oh my God, yeah.
Seriously. And of course, how could you forget Vecna? Which maybe we should start off with Vecna. I think the best villain that we have, an actual, like, force that's a villain, that's not just like, just like the Mind Flayer or some monster, but
somebody with actual personality.
Yeah. Vecna was terrifying.
Vecna, I didn't feel terrifying. Like, what was most terrifying was the stakes. It was the personal stakes, amongst our crew of characters. I think that's what scared me the most. Like, oh my God, like, so I guess in a sense, Vecna is terrifying. I'm not sure. Yeah, Vecna was, I think, a surprise to all of us, and the twist that was involved with Vecna, of him eventually being number one.
Oh yeah, that was a very, very good twist. Hidden in plain sight, did not see it coming.
I felt it coming because like they were showing the one tattoo so much on social media that I'm like, is this where it's going? At first I thought Vecna would be played by Robert Englund.
Right, but he played a different character.
Yeah, because like of course Freddy, Freddy Krueger will be playing the main scary bad guy of season 4.
Right.
You know, it seems obvious, but like The Last Jedi, it didn't go the way we thought. So it was a welcome surprise, and the actor, that the guy, I forgot what his fucking name is, but he did phenomenal as this character, and like the tete that he had with Millie Bobby Brown, particularly in this season, I think just added a lot more to the pantheon, which is Stranger Things.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love the design of Vecna, and I love the brutality of the kills, and I feel like the terrifying elements was when he nearly killed Max the first time, and then possibly killed her the second time. We'll see when that happens. We come back around to that. Also, really interesting stuff. I thought he was long dead, but we get back Matthew Modine back as Dr. Brenner this season. And he's mainly with 11, and I love the moments with them because I feel like you kind of get to understand him a little bit more. Not at all excusing him, of course.
Yeah. Because
I think even as he plays nice for most of it, at the end he ends up being the usual douche that he is. But it all kind of came together because 11 finally got to have her closure with him. I love when she was basically just like chewing him out. That moment when he revealed that he was going to kill Owens if she left the facility, and she was like, "Bitch, this is all your fault. Everything, everybody's death is on you." And then seeing Brenner just like actually have some like humanity to him in there to actually like, you know, feel the weight of all the crap that 11 was unloading on him was just, wow, it was a moment. And then of course, even after that, when he's dying and he tries to kind of like make her, or he wants 11 to understand that all the things he did were justifiable. And she was like, bye.
Bye, Felicia.
Basically is what happened.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that Brenner was brought back this season to give 11 a really wonderful storyline to kind of get past her demons, as well as the stuff that we got with them.
Literal demons.
Yeah, and that whole thing, which, yeah, again, pretty clever of how the Duffers kind of like interweave all this new quote unquote mythos into like established canon all pretty smoothly.
Yeah. What was particularly interesting in terms of like dynamics and all that stuff, going back to Brenner and Vecna and what have you, is when she was probably when she was trapped and captured by Vecna, and she was like, "I understand you," and she tried to have the Moana Tafiti moment, and she was like, "I understand you. You're not the monster, you know. Papa was," and all that stuff. And just like he was like, "Actually, no. I understood where Papa was coming from. It's actually you who created me, you know." And I was like, "Oh fucking shit!" I had that like, "Oh shit" moment, and because like it is true, like. The damage that, I mean, it all stems from Dr. Brenner.
Yeah.
But just like that's another casualty in his strive for.
I mean, Vecna is number one, right?
Yeah. It was his hat, Mr. Krabs. He was number one. But yeah, like it's just so it's fascinating because he pretty much calls her out on her unknowledged bullshit, you know, because she did throw him into the upside down. Like he could have survived and all that stuff, but she pretty much put the final nail in the coffin for him and his fate. So she is equally to blame as he is, no matter what age she is. And yeah. The little minor gripe is the de-aging that they did with Millie Bobby Brown. It's a little touch and go.
They barely used it, did they? Because most of it, she was just normal Millie Bobby Brown, wasn't she?
Yeah, but when they flash back to like younger 11,
yeah,
it's very noticeable.
Yeah, I don't really care, but
yeah. I mean, again, it's just a minor nitpick. Doesn't affect my overall viewing of the season. Yeah, Vecna, the actor is like he's incredible, and I think that like in a just world he would be getting an Emmy nomination.
Yeah. Couple of things. I want to go off on some people who feel the need to, I don't know, justify the actions of some very odious individuals that we came across this season. So first off, tying into 11. What she went through that first episode was horrible. Fuck Angela. Yeah, who gives a fuck if she got, if split her head open? You know what? Fuck every person in that roller skink. Like, seriously, like, 11 was fucking, like, she was humiliated and everybody was laughing at her, not giving a fuck. But, look at everybody clutching their pearls when, like, Angela, like, oh no, Angela. And we all gotta stop and, like, fuck her.
I applaud it.
And the nerve of the police to show up and arrest her and not give a fuck about all the torment that 11 was going through? Fuck off. I'm sorry, I just needed to say that. That really pissed me off. Those scenes in that first episode with her being bullied, I couldn't take. I had to fast forward. I cannot, because you get secondhand embarrassment through that. And the cringe, I can't take it. It was bad.
Hey, Angela. Bam. Fucking great. It was very cathartic, and I was actually like rooting for something to happen like that. And yeah, and also like making fun of her supposed dead dad.
That crosses a fucking line.
Yeah.
That crosses a fucking line. I don't know how you come back from that, but girl, you're lucky you're not in Hawkins. Because then you probably would have been dead. And then the other odious individual who... This is Jason, the jock, here at Hawkins.
Gross. I hate jocks.
There are a lot of people who I've seen on social media come to his defense as a good guy and everything, who had he just was
misunderstood. No, fuck that shit. Okay, my personal vendetta against jocks aside, like, the power that he had in that town is pathetic. And I'm going to call out certain communities as well. To put to lay down all your cards for a local celebrity like a jock like that, I think your community is pathetic. I think that it just speaks volumes of how you view yourselves as well. If you're putting all your, laying all your chips down for a jock like that. Jocks shouldn't be celebrities. They shouldn't be celebrated. And honestly, like, that character and the way that he's personified is exactly what I'm coming about when I talk about jocks, and the certain grasp that they have on communities. And I think it's absurd. I think I don't think that they should be getting the attention, and the attention that they get only fuels the fire of them behaving the way they do.
I mean, look at how, again, this is a critique on society, but that's just kind of like how things have been set up, right? Like the jocks are seen as, the future leaders of the community. They speak with validity. And then, of course, you have people like Eddie who are part of a particular group of people who are not anywhere near as popular.
An underspoken group of people.
Basically, and of course that makes all the difference. But I think you see with Jason how easily susceptible people are when they succumb to fear and paranoia. But I mean, it just reeked of like, well, of course they're listening to this guy. Like, you know, he's a young, attractive white guy, and then he's spreading hate. Where have we seen that before? Only all the time.
Yeah.
Only all the time. It really upset me when he just hijacked a fucking police, like, town hall meeting. And the police just sat there and allowed...
do nothing.
They did nothing. If a black person had done that, they would have opened fired. Then they would have, like, wiped away the body, thrown it in the trash can, and then went about their meeting. So I know this is not something that, of course, I can criticize the show for, but it's just like, because I see it so much, it enraged me.
Yeah.
And then, of course, to me, it just reeked of like right-wing fanaticism. And, you know, and of course, the militia that he was forming, it came to the point where he had already made up his mind to execute fucking Lucas. You really? Really? You're going to defend that? This kid who's like... Oh, by the way, that's way at the end. He had already like basically made up his mind to go on a fucking like vigilante hunt to go
and kill.
Going on this like tour of kicking people, you know, left and right to go murder Eddie preemptively. Judge, jury, and executioner. Yeah, that's the person you want to defend? Jason deserved everything he got, and if you ask me, I don't think it was nearly enough.
Same.
To be honest with you, I think that was the disappointment. That was the disappointment of the finale for me.
He just gets split in fucking two.
Yeah, and then it just moves on. Like, part of me appreciates that the show didn't give a fuck enough about him. Sure, yeah, but at the same time, I was really looking forward to seeing him be dismembered by Vecna, and I am sad. Well, we did see it dismembering, but it was just a very quick in here or there. That's it. I needed to see
blood, guts, and the whole enchilada. I agree with you. I fucking hate Jason. You know, don't hate the actor, because the actor did a good job at, you know, making us hate him. But just like the cult of personality that goes around with people like him is what irks me, and the fact that a lot of people do stick up for that kind of atrocity is what it's horrible. It's horrible. I can't even describe it. It's just...
Well, we did have a great addition this year with Eddie, who is already a fan favorite character.
I felt seen when it came to Eddie. Like, I absolutely loved his character. Like, as a freaking metalhead dork and nerd as I was in high school, like, I see myself in Eddie. Leading to one of my favorite moments in freaking Stranger Things canon, when he played the fucking metal concert to save the universe, like, as somebody who, I'm a half musician, and like noticing like strumming patterns in the trailer of him playing guitar, I'm like, is it what I think he's gonna play? And it fucking was. He played fucking Master of Puppets by Metallica, and my heart was like racing when I heard dun 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 dun. I was like, fuck yeah, fuck me up, Eddie. Give me some of that shit. And to play it and to use Metallica again, it's like Kate Bush, using Kate Bush in the show, but to use it in such a pivotal moment absolutely thrilled me. It was absolutely fantastic, and not only that, but like the band Metallica themselves, they duetted that moment on TikTok. So I think that was an added like, Nettie sent me the the TikTok, knowing who I am and what my interests are. She sent me it on a Instagram, trying to see if I saw it already. And I'm like, I know I saw it. A fucking kick ass. Yeah. Even to where like the next show that they had, the following day, I think the whole entire band was wearing Hellfire Club shirts.
That's nice.
It's just like, it's one of those things. But in terms of Eddie, like I love in terms of character, let's dive a little bit more because, aside from the Metallica of it all, when the way that he starts off with this miscreant, this misfit and all that stuff, who a lot of people think, amounts to nothing, to where he pretty much saves the day at the end. Like he was one of the him and Max played the hugest roles in Vecna's defeat in this season. Because like without his distraction and without Max personally facing him face to face as the fourth kill, I think it just really set it aside to them being the biggest players in this season. And honestly, like Joseph Quinn is amazing. Also, sidestep. Let's look at the song Master Puppets for a second. So the song where this season takes place, Master Puppets has been out for 6 weeks. And mind you, the internet and all that stuff doesn't exist, or published print of how the song is played. So amongst school, the extensive D&D sessions, and being on the run from fucking the whole entire fucking town, that mofo had 2 weeks to learn that song with no tabs or anything like that. Mad respect. And I think Joseph Quinn only had like 5 months to learn that entire song, which I think is a feat in itself, because that song ain't no picnic to learn. So the fact that it was like he played it in that regard, it's just like it really, really cemented the badassness of his character. So yeah, Eddie, in terms of like where he starts off with and the way that he was like, we're no heroes, and to finally being the hero of the day, one of the biggest heroes of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the character from the first episode. Honestly, from his first scene, and seeing the horrific way in which the town treated him. I concur with many people that have said Hopkins can go fuck itself, basically. For the idea of them basically buying into such a stupid narrative, that he was and honestly, shame on the cops too, because the police chief knew from the minute, like, no person did the murder of Chrissy. That's why they called in the government.
Yeah.
And the cops never, like, cleared Eddie's name. And the murders kept happening. Them knowing there's no way Eddie Munson did this. And yet the whole thing is, like, resolved after the big, like, earthquake that almost destroyed the town. And people still are using, like, Eddie as the scapegoat for, like, all the things that went wrong here. I know the intent is there, but, like, it doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't. I will say, I love one of the best dynamics of this entire season is with Eddie and Dustin.
Yeah.
It was great. Look, first of all, just with Dustin, it was so great to see him step up alongside Nancy as like the co-leaders of this, like, of the Hopkins group.
Yeah.
In the absence of Mike when he was over there in California. But look, Dustin has always been, a really charming individual, but he has really come so much into his own. Where I know a lot of the group, like, kids him about, like, having, like, keeping his ego in check, but the guy really is that smart, and he has gotten the team out of so many tight spots, time in and time out. And just to look at Dustin and see how very, like, needed he was this season, but then also the wonderful brotherhood that he had with Eddie. Man, the scene where the line of dialogues were so great. Like, this is finally my year as he fucking dies.
Yeah.
But then even more so, the exchange that he has with Eddie's father, goddamn broke my heart.
He died a hero.
Oh my God. I loved it. I loved it so much. A+.
When he handed his pick necklace. Brilliant.
The feels. Shit. Look, this show consistently hits you in the feels, man. This show kind of gives you everything you want from a television series. And like, maybe I'm just like too used to seeing a lot of disappointing, disappointing / underwhelming. Maybe is a better word for it. Disney Plus Marvel shows, that I've just, I'm not used to seeing a streaming show be so fucking amazing and fucking deliver on everything that was promised. Like, across the board. Amazing.
It just makes the Duffer Brothers' job a little bit harder, because where the fuck are they going to take everything on the next season?
Well, I think, look, they've already said, like, with season 5, because of where we end, it is going to be different because there's going to be a mystery element to it, because we already know the answers of what's going on. And it's going to take place exclusively in Hawkins. So we're going to get the ball rolling immediately when we get back.
Yeah.
Which I believe they already announced was in 2024, which is too fucking far away for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I need this tomorrow. I literally need this tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, also, a lot of people who are familiar with the game of D&D, I'm not one of those, but just like the way that I hear people talking about it, that picture that we'll get to Will in a bit, but remember that picture that Will painted of like the gang facing off against a 3-headed dragon?
Yeah.
Apparently that's like one of the biggest like bad guys in D&D. So I think it's going to be interesting. So I think that they're teasing that our heroes are going to face off against a dragon.
Interesting. I did not take that into consideration. But if they do, holy shit.
It just gets bigger and bigger.
What, a Demogorgon Mind Flayer Vecna dragon?
Yeah.
Wow. Wouldn't that be something?
Going against a fucking dragon. I think a 3-headed dragon at that.
Oh dear. Oh man. Just to stay with the Hawkins crew. Look, I love, speaking of dynamics, look, Steve and Robin were some of the highlights from season 3. I love seeing them back here. I really do appreciate the friendship that they formed between Robin and Nancy. I like them teaming up. Nancy is so smart as well. Like, she has come a long ways from season 1, where she's just like on it from the beginning. And when like she's kind of gifted. Like, a lot of curveballs get thrown her way, and she kind of like, all right, let's go to the next thing. Very, very good. I am very interested to see where it ultimately ends up going, because in part 1, I was convinced that the entire, and maybe this could still be the case, because of course next year is the final season and we're going to see some deaths, but I was convinced that the only reason why in part 1 we saw such an emphasis on everyone picking up on the fact that Steve still loves Nancy was because we're going to lose Steve this season. Yeah. And Steve was one of the characters we all thought was going to die this season. Now, it could still be the case that season 5 happens and Steve dies there. But of course, what makes this a triangle is because though they only have one scene together, Jonathan and Nancy are an item, and it is established this season because of, the distance and college stuff. There is some turbulence, shall we say, in their relationship. So I care about all 3 of them, so this triangle is uncomfortable for me, shall I say.
Oh, so you don't have a preference of Stancy or Jancy?
Well, to be honest with you, I was fine with Nancy and Jonathan. I thought the show had moved on from this like triangle aspect. But I don't know, this season did a good job of like reminding me of the sparks between Steve and Nancy, so
yeah.
Who knows?
Oh my God. And it's clear that she, like, the feeling is mutual as well. You know, very obvious.
Go back and watch season 1. Remind yourself what a complete douchebag Steve Harrington was.
Oh, I remember what a douchebag. I hated his guts.
Like, and like, also don't forget, I mean, Jonathan didn't get much this season, but you do care for him as well. And then, of course, you know, they kind of hooked up in season 2, Jonathan and Nancy. So I'm genuinely conflicted. I don't know. I hate that because I don't know. Hey, I don't know what they're going to do.
Is this the first, like, romance thing that you're, like heavily invested in?
Invested? You mean triangle?
Yeah.
Because there have been romances I've been invested in another, like, show. I mean, Fitzsimmons? But, like, a triangle? I don't know.
Because it's such a hokey plot point, but the way that they're forming it here is really interesting.
I'll put it to you this way. This is the only one that I can think of at the moment where I'm like genuinely like. I feel like in other triangles, I would say I would have a strong preference. Here, I don't. Here, I'm genuinely like torn.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were in Nancy's shoes, I don't know. I don't know. And I don't think she knows either.
Yeah.
I don't think she knows either. So.
It's gonna be awkward because Charlie Heaton and Natalie Dyer are actually a thing.
That's what I thought too. They are a thing.
So if it goes the way of Stancy, that's gonna be really interesting to see.
Or you just kill off Steve.
Yeah, which will suck. Absolutely suck. He'll last this whole entire without getting no bitches.
Jeez, man.
So to speak. But yeah, also Robin had her own thing as well in this season.
Mm-hmm.
Fawning over her fellow bandmate.
What was her name again? I was trying. They say it so many times and I forget.
I don't know.
Vicky?
Maybe, I think so.
I think it's Vicky.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Let's just say there are the Duffers know what they're doing, and there are 2 particular camera shots where a kiss happens, and in the background, let's just say the LGBTQIA person in question is looking at them rather heartbrokenly.
Yeah.
They do it not once, but twice this season. I see you, Duffers. It's funny. I gotta say, it's really funny, but I mean, it's also kind of like, what are you doing, man? Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's not really there for the most part. Like, it's mentioned here and there, but like, of course, it's mostly in the background. I think that's gonna be an item by the time we close up the show. I feel like that's what they're building up to, and I don't know. I get the impression Vicky genuinely likes to have Robin's company, so...
Yeah, especially when we leave off with them, you know.
I mean, you don't mention that you break up with your boyfriend out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I think some people have picked up on that, so...
Also, that look that Steve gives when he witnesses what's going on. I think it's just like... I think it's sweet.
Very sweet for Steve, very progressive people in the very homophobic 1980s.
Yes.
And of course, in the heartland, Indiana, of all places. So,
yeah.
Very, very nice to see. Hey, how about that?
Well, it's like, remember in the 3rd season when Mike was talking to Will and he said, "It's not your fault you don't like girls." Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like one of those things. Like, we have an accumulation of people who are very accepting of.
The problem, though, Kyle, is that moment. I don't think that moment means what you think it means, because if you look at the Mike this season, I don't think the boy has a clue. I don't think he meant it as like it's when he said, "It's not my fault you don't like girls." I don't think he was referencing to Will's personal persuasion. I just think he was acknowledging the moment where Will was in that summer, which is, look, Will, I know girls aren't your thing the way that it's for us, but like they're important to us, and I'm sorry it's not important for you. The reason why I say that is because, well, we'll get into that. We'll get into Will in a minute, but I would say this is an example of representation done right. Please don't kill me, internet. Right? Like it's there. You know, it's.
But it also serves a character plot point as well.
Yeah.
So if they're actually doing a thing with it instead of labeling the thing, then it's representation done right.
Basically, so California, what basically there's not much there to say besides, first of all, Argyle's a hoot.
Yeah, and that dude is from Yuma. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, he's great, man. Anytime Argyle pops up on scene, I'm like, there's a smile on my face. Like, to me, one of the funniest moments of the entire season where they're having dinner with Murray and Joyce at the house.
Yeah.
And Joyce is, like, telling them the cover of, like, where she's going to go. And then she's, like, looking at Jonathan, like, that means you're going to be in charge. And he's like, what?
Because they're stoned out of their fucking minds.
It's hilarious. I love those two together. So, and I love how Argyle hilariously came in handy in the finale with the fucking Surfer Boy Pizza restaurant available to facilitate the bathhouse.
Which led to probably one of the best lines in the season. It's like, how are you here? And then 11 is like, I piggybacked from a pizza dough freezer.
I love the show is trying to push Hawaiian pizza. Try before you deny.
Yeah.
I think I had it like once or twice. I didn't hate it. I thought it was okay. But I'm not one of these people that hates pineapple on pizza.
Yeah. I like Hawaiian pizza.
Like, if you have Hawaiian pizza, I'll eat it. Like, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
It's still pizza.
Yeah.
I like pineapple. Sue me.
Oh my god. Okay, so there's a pizza that's sold at Domino's. It's called what's it called? The New Hawaiian Pizza, and that's with ham, bacon, sausage, pineapple, and red peppers. And it's fantastic. It's a fantastic pizza. So yeah. Also, the motherfuckers had a gall, because I used to work at Domino's, and the motherfuckers had the gall to have their uniforms changed to Stranger Things themed. Like especially after my tenure over there. And I'm like, you dicks. If I had to wear this, like, for my every shift that I took, like, I wouldn't be so resilient. So yeah, Argyle is pretty good. Will, my god, that boy is going through the ringer this time around.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation that, like, what happened there exactly. People weren't sure why it was being so awkward. With when Mike came and everything with 11. I don't know. I mean, I feel like by the time that part 2 dropped, most people kind of understood what was going on there. Seemed pretty obvious to me that between the seasons, Will realized he liked Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to be a third wheel when you like that person who's already in a committed relationship, who, by the way, you also seem to love as a sister, which like Will and Eleven basically are siblings now because they did live together.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to see. And I mean, I felt it was pretty obvious. Except for the fact that Mike seemingly is oblivious the entire way through. Like, by the time I get to the end, even Jonathan's pieced it together pretty easily.
Yeah.
And I don't think Will is being that subtle. Like, there were several, like, big heart-to-heart, like, speeches that Will gave to Mike. And he's pretty clearly going through something. And I appreciate, though, that Mike and Will did come to, some sort of reconciliation, like, because, they were distant, and, Mike apologized for not being there for him more than maybe he feels he should have. But still, I know Mike is so focused on 11, and that's always his thing. By the way, that speech that Will gave to him about being the heart and everything was, God, it was so good. But Mike, what do you need? Like a blowhorn in your face? Like, do you need a fucking like a gay sign to be up here? Like, what do you need, man? Like
something blown.
I don't know what is required, but no, Noah Schnapp acted the hell out of that performance. That's for sure. Give it up for him. And Will is going to be, I feel it's already being teased this way, but he's going to be key to season 5 with his connection with Vecna for sure.
He's going to be the key to everything.
What?
Jar Jar is the key to everything.
Oh god. No. Lois, she's the key. Lois is the key.
Whatever the fuck that meant.
Those are two very awful examples. Jar Jar and the fucking Snyder thing. Oh, like a character being the key. That didn't work out, did it?
Okay, so a few days ago, I finally watched Jay and Silent Bob reboot. And there was a scene where Ben Affleck cameoed and all that stuff, and he was like, he was mentioning Bruce Wayne and Bruce Wayne's like abilities and all that stuff, and he was like Tom, you have to face what happened with Bruce Wayne's parents, Thomas Wayne and his mother, whose name escapes me, and he looks dead into the camera like this, like this. He's like, whose name escapes me. Oh my god. But anyway, like usually Mike is like the smartest, like kind of detective of the group, and for him to not pick up a single scrap of, I don't want to call it gayness, but gayness, like, what the hell? Like, your friends better than anybody. What's going on, Mike? This is not the Mike that we knew in season 1.
I mean, he's distracted clearly, but I mean, I don't know what's his issue.
But like, to what point though?
I know. I mean, it seemed to me Jonathan got it pretty clearly. There was a look he gave while they were driving in the car, and then, of course, later on in the restaurant. That heart-to-heart there were so many heart-to-hearts all across the cast that were so emotional. Will and Jonathan. There was a great one with Eddie and Dustin, while they're training. Yeah. Robin and Steve.
Max and Lucas.
Max and, oh my god, Max and Lucas!
When they were drawing on the pads, like giving messages to each other to stay silent from Vecna. absolutely, beautiful work done there.
I love the one when they're in the RV, and right before Lucas says, "I'm calling in Kate Bush if anything goes wrong," they were like, Max was saying how she thinks about a particular memory, and Lucas is like, "Am I in it?" And then she says, Max says, "That's very presumptuous of you. If you recall, that's a line I feel said in the first episode she was introduced to Lucas." So if you go back, you'll catch that. But
full circle kind of thing.
Absolutely. Man, Sadie Sink, I feel, was a standout throughout this entire season.
She fucking killed it this season.
Literally.
Oh, too soon, man. Too soon.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean, she kicked all sorts of ass. All sorts of ass. That it's just like it really played its part in what it was doing. And like the thing is that like all like a lot of key moments happen under her watch, and a lot of the emotional weight of this season rested on her shoulders. I mean, let's look at that fucking episode, Dear Billy.
Oh my goodness. That entire sequence from where it that whole episode's amazing. But when it starts off with her at the grave, Billy's grave, reading that letter, all the way to the end where she escapes Vecna's clutches and she, is saved. The original, rendition of Running Up That Hill, and then even an orchestral version as it's like fading to black or fading to credits. One of the most heart-pounding, emotional, resonant moments of the entire series. I was on the edge of my seat. I feared very much for her life. And when they were, playing the flashbacks to her, I was like, they're not doing this, are they? Like, really?
Yeah.
Well,
by the way,
in that episode,
sidestep, what would be your Vecna song? That's like,
I don't know. No. I don't have one. I don't have one. I mean,
you don't want to tell me just in case?
No.
Okay. All right. I'll see you later then.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, I that was a touching. Also, great use of music. Again, like the usage of music this season, particularly with the tracks Master Puppets and Running Up That Hill.
What was the other one? The Journey song?
Separate Ways.
Uh-huh. There's also a Vecna got a song, the Louis Armstrong song. And then I'll like associate this as the Argyle theme, Pass the Dutchie.
Oh, pass the Dutchie on the left hand side. Yeah, good stuff.
I forgot I loved the instant connection that he had with Susie's sister.
Eden, yeah.
Oh my god, that was amazing. I love it.
Well, I mean, it's a match made in heaven because Eden, as you know, comes from the Garden of Eden. Garden.
Yes.
So
yes.
I like it.
Listen,
also,
yeah,
I love all of Susie's scenes as well.
Oh yeah, she's great.
She's great. The fact that she has not one but two Muppet movie posters.
She does?
Yeah, she has two Muppet movie posters.
Interesting.
And I'm like, you know what? Respect.
No, look, Max Mayfield went through the ringer, going through so much, losing, Billy, her stepdad leaving the family, then moving, to a trailer park. Then, of course, to be a target of Vecna. And, of course, all the residual guilt that Max had felt over all of it. That's revealed in Dear Billy, but then also, of course, in the finale. I just feel so terrible. And look, I mean, props to her for being perhaps the single bravest character on the show.
Yeah.
But it was, I gotta be honest with you, pretty devastating to see what transpired. Like, I've seen many reactions to the episode, but even I myself just jumped out and like kind of screamed no when Vecna began the first snap of the arm. I was like, they're not doing this. I was getting so like angry because you're not gonna do this. And, you know, a couple more snaps here and there, though the blood was coming out of her eyes, and I was like...
Lucas, I can't see.
Well, I mean, they get to that point after I think Vecna's been, like, well, not dispatched with, but, like, he's been kind of, like, pinned down. But, yeah, once she's fully free of Vecna's control, she can't feel anything. She can't see anything. And her saying... I'm not ready to die, combined with like Lucas just breaking down when Erica finally is able to get to the door and he's like, Erica, get help. Like, oh my God, so sad, so incredibly heartbreaking. Of course, 11's also there as well.
Crying
mentally speaking.
And all that stuff. Like,
again,
the performances that these kids have like put this season is like top notch. Really top notch, you know?
Yeah, and it's honestly kind of like we're left in limbo because Nax died. And then 11 was able to restart her heart, but her mind's not there, it seems like.
No.
And I'm really scared because
where she's gonna be the next season, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it means. It's just, again, we're left in limbo when it comes to that. But, whoa, the gate did open, didn't it? Holy shit. Wow. Like, the upside down gates open and it swallowed up a couple of houses I saw. What a fucking disaster it was.
The upside down is right side up, I guess.
Basically, right? And, wow, like, why would you live in that town after that? Get the fuck out. I know that they were setting up, like, spots for people who have been displaced, but just, like, get out. Like, it's gonna get real bad. We should discuss, of course, Hopper and Russia.
Oh, yes.
With Enzo, and then Murray and Joyce, and Yuri. Hilarious, emotional, from a two-pronged area. First of all, I'm so fucking happy we finally have Joyce and Hopper together.
Yeah.
Finally! It took a long-ass time, but their reunion was so, well, worth it. And then them, like, finally kissing for the first time.
Jopper has sailed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And honestly,
that go ahead.
Like when they were talking in the cathedral, they were like, what's the first thing you want to do? Like coyly, like saying, what's the first thing you want to do? She's like, I want to go on that date and I want to have a big old fucking lasagna and all that stuff. Like playing into like the playfulness between the two. It's just like, oh really? That's the first thing that you want? He's like, yeah, I've been eating runny water and stuff like that. And then leading to, I have something else that I want. And then just like laying it down thick. Such a beautiful, like, instead of like just going right into it. Because they could have easily just gone right into it.
Yeah, they could have.
But their playful banter throughout like every single season is what like made it special to begin with.
Yeah.
And to lead that crucial moment with playful banter, I think is very on brand and on character for them.
Yeah, look, Murray is always hilarious. I love Murray and Joyce teaming up to go save Hopper. I think Hopper got some very emotional moments. I think he got a great monologue when he's next to Enzo, and speaking about like the Vietnam War, and how he feels he was damaged to the point where he feels responsible for his first daughter's death.
Yeah.
No, I mean, David Harbour's a great fucking actor. And also, as far as an action standpoint, great stuff to see in the prison, especially the showdown with the Demogorgon, and then using the sword to cut off the head and everything. No, great stuff.
He was escaping with a broken fucking ankle.
I don't know how he did it.
How badass. That's a badass right there. Also, like, the whole escape thing and, like, the Demogorgon fight in the middle of the pit. I mean, it was just, like, I don't know. I was on edge the whole entire season.
Yeah, literally. Literally the entire time. Yeah, I mean, this is just a masterful show. I really do feel that way. On the edge of your seat, emotionally satisfying, just about all the ways you can imagine. And of course, you have the reunions at the end of the season. Was there anyone that worked for you the best? I mean, you got to talk about, of course, Hopper and 11.
Oh, that was, yeah. When she was crying, sobbing, saying, like, I always left the door open 3 inches because, like, somehow I held on to hope and all that stuff. Again, like what I was said in the beginning when I was talking about when we first started this conversation is that there's 2 things that this show is about: friendship and hope.
Yeah.
And just like that holding on to hope thing. Also, I love the moment where he was like, "I kind of stole your look, kid."
Bitchin', of course.
Like, what do you think? Bitchin', and just like honestly, Millie and David's chemistry is so heartwarming to watch. You know, I spent the weekend with my sisters, and they're just like, they were just screaming, "Papa, Papa lies."
Oh my God.
Friends don't lie.
Oh my goodness. That's so funny.
They were just yelling back and forth. But yeah, it was so good. Oh, also that chilling scene where she stepped into Max's mind and nothing was there.
Yeah, I don't want to address that. I'm not over it. That's disturbing. Look, one of the things I'm looking forward to, I feel that the Duffers have done an amazing job splitting up our heroes and, and their own adventures being as captivating as they could be. One of the things I'm really looking forward to in the 5th season is we're not going to see any of that. Our group's all here in Hawkins. There's no more splitting up.
Yeah.
We're here, and now we got to team up to take this shit down. And honestly, that cliffhanger with what they're up against, I don't even know where you start. I mean, I would start with evacuate that town. I don't know why anybody's lingering there. Get the hell out of that town.
And people are believing that it's a earthquake. The sheer stupidity of this town. Honestly, they deserve to crash and burn.
Well, I mean, it's not even the town itself, right? It's the government. Like, the government already knows better. I mean, we had a storyline this season where 2 factions were, like, warring with each other.
But the fact that they're brainwashing the civilians of Hawkins as well. Yeah,
I don't know if that's gonna keep... I don't know how can they keep brainwashing them after all the things that they keep seeing? Like, if a dragon comes out next season, well, there goes that. I imagine Owens is going to come back next season with the government in tow. Because our group will need reinforcements of some sort.
A fucking dragon. Like, this is a D&D show. You're going to introduce a fucking dragon at some point.
Or something. Well, I mean, they are throwing $30 million an episode, aren't they?
Yeah.
So the report says.
Isn't it like the biggest budget of a show ever?
Yeah. I mean, easily.
Because like Game of Thrones never exceeded like 12 or 13 million.
Look, No, they didn't. And Mandalorian, I think, is at least 10 million an episode. Marvel Studios wants us to believe they're throwing 25 million an episode at their Disney Plus shows.
Where's that money going?
Exactly. You wouldn't know it by looking at it, so I'm not believing that. But with Stranger Things, yeah. I mean, and, you know, it's a different commentary in and of itself that the Duffers were still finishing up VFX shots the morning of the premiere of Part 2.
Yeah.
So,
And in the middle of a fucking pandemic as well.
Oh my god, yeah. So, I don't know, man. I mean, we can't leave without that wonderful moment. Look, the climax of the finale, where, you know, as Mike gives the hard speech, you know, 11 is able to thrust Vecna from the clutches of finally killing off Max, and then all that coinciding with like Nancy getting her gun and Hopper getting the sword. The remix, the Stranger Things being remixed with the Running Up the Hill. Inspired moment.
What do you think of the Game of Thrones-esque version of the Stranger Things theme? That was played at the very end.
What made it a Game of Thrones version or Game of Thrones-esque version of it?
Because the Game of Thrones is just like orchestral, just like pure orchestral thing, and then like they've amped it up like every finale, almost every finale in Game of Thrones. So that's why I said they Game of Thronesified the Stranger Things ending by adding an orchestra to the thing, because it's just synth music,
right?
And the fact that they added an orchestra with the theme song. What do you think of that piece?
I mean, the music's great, and I feel like, especially even I think this season, it got better too. No, I mean that of what you're talking about. It was great. I love the music.
That's the work of Kyle Dixon, by the way. That's the name. If you want to.
No, I'm familiar. Kyle Dixon, and Michael Stein.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just an amazing series. It truly is. And I guess we're gonna have to wait 2 fucking years.
I need it in my veins, like, right now. Like, I'm like, how are you, Duffer Brothers? Why are you leaving us like this? It's just, it's so good. Season 4. So far, I've already ranked the seasons already. My ranking goes 4, 3, 1, 2.
Everybody likes to put 2 at the bottom.
I mean, I love every single season, but I just like, that's how
I do, yeah.
That's how I rank it.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go the same way. Yeah, I think probably. You said 4, 3, 1, 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go the same way too. Even though I love all the seasons, as you do, so I guess we'll see. All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and end it up there. Thank you, Kyle, for being here. Next time, maybe we'll talk about a certain God of Thunder, or the Lord of Thunder, as some would say, and some screaming goats.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, stay under our spotlight for more content and more, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.